From the capital city of Charleston, West Virginia, this is Inside West Virginia Politics with Mark Curtis. Inside West Virginia Politics is brought to you by AARP West Virginia, your ally for real possibilities in the Mountain State.
Welcome to Inside West Virginia Politics. I'm Adrienne Robbins. Mark Curtis will be joining us shortly. The debate on what to do with guns in America has gripped the nation after 2 mass shootings. But obviously anything that is going to get done will happen in Washington. So we're bringing in Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat from West Virginia. Thank you so much for being here,
Good
Senator.
to be with you, Adrienne.
Now, obviously, you have some ideas on what we need to do here in America, and you've had those ideas since 2013.
Well, from 2013, after the horrific tragedy in Sandy Hook and these little children got massacred, everybody, I mean, just grabbed you, ripped people's hearts out. So everyone was talking about eliminating this, eliminating that, changing this, changing it. And I said, wait a minute. As a law-abiding gun owner, we're taught to do the right thing. Just because we own a gun or we bought a gun and we like to go hunting or shooting or sports shooting or collecting, whatever, we're not going to do the wrong thing. We're not selling our gun to strangers, to criminals, or someone's not mentally stable. We won't even let a family member, if they're not responsible, to use our gun. That's how you're taught. And I said, if you want to do something, close the loopholes. So that's what the bill that I drafted, and then Pat Toomey came on and joined me, was basically around commercial transaction. As a law-abiding gun owner, I'm going to do the right thing. But if I go to a gun show, I don't know that person. I'd like to know who that person is that want to buy my gun if I'm selling it there or whatever, buying. So I said just shut down commercial transactions, should have background checks like everybody else should have a background check. But it does not infringe on law-abiding gun owners. They can sell to a friend because they know that person. They can sell to their family members or give it to them. We didn't impede any of that. And we did not let them encroach on the Second Amendment. We protected the Second Amendment. In fact, the bill was called the Protection of the Second Amendment. But what we did is just common gun sense. And we think is important today. It's a building block. If the president's going to do anything, that's the building block that makes sense. 80–90% of the people agree. Gun owners agree. The NRA establishment in Washington is not agreeing on anything because they're owned by the manufacturers, not by the members like me. I'm still a lifetime member. I think they're more catering to the people that are paying the big bucks to them. Whatever it is, we've got to do what needs to be done, and that's called gun sense. And it makes common sense. The president's been all for that. He's called me numerous times. Staffs have been working. Susan Collins has been working. Lindsey Graham's been working on it. We've got basically Chris Coons, myself, Chris Murray. There's a lot of staffs have been working. And we have not been called off yet, so we'll see what happens.
But that's the big question, is what will President Trump actually agree to? You know, after the mass shootings, he came out and said that, yes, background checks could be something he supported. He's since waned from that opinion. After your conversations with him, what will he support?
Well, that's what I'm concerned about, Adrienne, because people have said, you know, he might not stick with what he said. I'm hoping he does, because I'll give him credit for this. After the horrible massacre in Las Vegas, where that person took a semi-automatic AR-15 and made it into a full-blown automatic, totally illegal, using a bump stock, which he bought, which was being produced. NRA was not in favor of even getting rid of bump stocks, and they're totally illegal, and they won't even support that. President Trump, credit to him, he went ahead and did that. He made those illegal in executive order. It didn't hurt his base, and people believed it was the right thing to do. People believe this is the right thing to do, and I've told him, I said, Mr. President, your base is not going to leave you. This is common gun sense. We're gun owners. We understand we should not sell our gun to strangers. And in a commercial transaction, if you don't have a background check, that's a stranger. That's basically it, and hopefully he'll move forward. This is all about President Trump. If he wants to make America safe again, and I repeat that, make America safe again, Mr. President, this is the building block that does it.
So we have less than a minute left. Obviously, there are a lot of other things that you want to get done when you get back to Washington. What's on the high priority list?
Well, the high priority is we have to fund the government. We have to get 12 appropriation bills done in the month of September to have a year-long budget. If not, you have continuing resolutions, which means you hold everything as it is, you continue the resolution you've been working off of. You can't plan anything. It's not the way you run the government, and definitely don't run the superpower of the world that way. So that's our biggest push and lift that we have going back. Can we get all these 12 bills done, voted on move on so we have a budget.
And obviously everyone in West Virginia is wondering, will you be coming back here, possibly running for governor in 2020?
I'm going to be making that decision before I go back on the break, and I think it's important. I'm concerned about our state, the lack of leadership that we have, basically stepping forward, and it's a 24/7 job. I've been there, I know what it takes. I want to make sure that I put myself in the place that I can do the most good for West Virginia. And it's always been about West Virginia. My only purpose of me being in public office, can I help my state? Can I do a job basically helping people? So I'll make that decision on where I think that best can be done and where I feel that I can accomplish most.
All right, Senator Joe Manchin, thank you so much for having us.
We're
going to have much more West Virginia politics coming up next.